Hello, my name is Fernando Faria. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer with Thinscale Technologies, and I'm here today with Courtney Meyers, co-CEO of Omni Interactions, to have a conversation about their deployment, the way they're doing gig CX, and some of the innovative approaches they're taking to BYOD in partnership with Thinscale and throughout their BYOD strategy. So can you explain the vision for Omni Interactions and how you differ from other BPOs?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a tech-enabled gig BPO. So we deliver all of our contact center services using gig workers in the US, Guatemala, Mexico, Philippines, and really anywhere in the world that someone needs a workforce. So we differ in a lot of ways. One being the gig, two being we're 100% remote, and three being we've really put a strong emphasis on agent enablement technology and really delivering consistent, reliable, high quality services to our clients through investments in agent enablement from a technology standpoint.
Brilliant. So I understand Omni is one of the most innovative BPOs in the contact center industry, particularly, as you mentioned just now, in the gig CX space. Can you tell me more about your investment in technology, AI, and automation?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've built what we call the Omniverse, and the Omniverse is our proprietary platform that all of our gig workers sit on that really helps us drive, who having the right person, taking the right phone call or chat or email contact of any type, for the right client. And so this is how we match our gig workers to our clients and then ensure that they have all of the tools to be successful. And that includes partners like yourself, Thinscale from a security standpoint, chatbots that help pick up the workload of those SMEs to make sure that, as we're bringing new gig workers into production for a certain client, that they have all of the answers they need while they're taking those customer contacts. And it includes a lot of workforce automation around jump-ons, jump-offs, and shift filling, scheduling, all of those things. And so it builds this, it's really this seamless experience for our gig workers and our clients' customers. And so all of those things flow together to make sure, again, we've got that consistent, reliable delivery for our clients.
That's very interesting, very cool. And talk to me about your vision around easy to use and easy to deploy technology. What's the impact of this benefit on your gig workers and your clients?
Yeah, so two big things for us. One is speed to ramp. So the quicker we can get our gig workers up and running, the better for everyone, right? I mean, one thing that's very important to gig workers is being able to earn money quickly. So just the ability to get someone from, hey, you're a great match for this client, to starting to take those customer contacts is very important to us. That also means that our clients get services delivered quickly. The second piece to that is really around reliability and making sure that the platform, that every component of the platform, I should say, that our gig workers use is reliable, easy to set up, and doesn't come with a lot of hiccups. I mean, we've all lived in this kind of nightmare of tech issues with contact center agents, and that really, it adds a lot of headache to the whole system. And so for us, that ease of use has to extend all the way down right to the gig worker level. Because when we're talking about thousands of gig workers launching on a new program, it has to be easy, it has to be seamless, and it has to feel just very simple for them to use and to access while maintaining all the important components of security, reliability, et cetera.
I mean, this is a really good point. Been talking to other customers of ours as well. The issue of friction, agent friction, and the friction of experience is something that we keep hearing over and over again, and we're trying to help them as well, because it really is the experience manifests itself in satisfaction, manifests itself in productivity and happy customers at the end of the day, right?
It does. When you have friction in the system, a friction for a contact center agent of any type, it results very quickly in frustration, and that frustration then results in poor customer service, kind of less willingness to learn or dive in and really become proficient, and ultimately it leads to attrition. And that's really what we're all trying to avoid in this industry is attrition. And so, reducing technical friction is part and parcel to being successful in this industry.
And if you multiply that by thousands of gig workers, you have a big problem or a big solution.
Exactly. You've got, you can have something that's incredible. If you can get thousands of gig workers or contact center agents of any type up and running quickly, seamlessly, I mean, you've got a winning solution there. There's no doubt. Versus that can be an absolute catastrophe. And everyone in this industry has lived through those ramps where things don't go smoothly. And you're working through the night, you're working through the weekend to try to just block and tackle and get people online and working. And it can be a true nightmare scenario.
Really stressful and wasteful as well, right? There's a big element of this, which is just the cost, the time that you end up spending fixing issues that you would much rather not be dealing with.
Huge, because that time could be spent on quality. Yeah. These are typically new gig workers, new contact center workers. And so that time should be spent on coaching and quality and getting them proficient as quickly as possible and having a great experience as they take those first handful of phone calls. Instead, it's spent dealing with tech issues, which just undermines the entire process.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
So for Omni, BYOD is our strategy. We do all BYOD. I know this is a big part of what Thinscale provides. Have you seen the popularity of BYOD increase over the years?
Absolutely. I basically would put BYOD in 2 eras, pre and post-pandemic. Pre-pandemic, it was limited to specific industries, strict circumstances, and then the pandemic hit, and it was this widespread global adoption that we've seen. So what the pandemic did to BYOD was really transform it from a niche use case to a global trend very rapidly. So what we've seen was basically overnight companies were facing logistical challenges in transporting devices to employees' homes, experiencing massive hardware shortages and impacting their ability to scale up quickly, delays in onboarding agents, and the so-called speed to green. So all that was really causing a lot of the friction that we discussed earlier. But throughout this whole period, even pre or post-pandemic, from an IT perspective, the big issues always remain the same: security. You can't deploy a successful BYOD program if you don't have the security, the compliance policies in place. So what we've seen companies do, and especially BPOs, they would shift away from corporate machines towards employee-owned devices and start working to make those devices secure and compliant. And this is an area that we've been helping our customers to do. I think there are still challenges. These are huge deployments we're talking about, but the benefits of embracing secure BYOD are clear and meaningful to the bottom line of our customers, which is cost savings, speed of deployment, and increased efficiency. Now, this is all needs to work on a foundation of security. So once we've passed resolving the security issues, then we can start talking about the business case for BYOD, which we've seen that proven over and over again with our customers.
And I might just add that I think post-pandemic, the BYOD solution is easier than ever for companies to adopt, because the number of desktops or computers that have gone into each individual home, I believe, has increased, right? As over the pandemic, all of the schooling happened from home over a computer. And so the reality is, where people may have not had a computer at home before, a computer that was suitable because they relied on a work computer, all of a sudden they had to ensure their kids had a way to get to school each day on a computer, things like that. So I do believe the number of suitable desktops in each home has increased, and that has made the strategy much more viable as well.
Absolutely. And actually, with everything that changed from a commercial real estate to a household real estate and becoming your de facto office, your home office, you have fewer bandwidth issues, you have more awareness of the risks, you have more compliance training with employees working from home. So I think there's a bunch of mitigating factors that help accelerate BYOD and working from home, exactly because of those, what was brought upon us by the pandemic in a way, and now the industry has reacted to that in a very positive way.
Absolutely.
So Courtney, there's huge emphasis being placed on IT and data security right now. Do your clients initially have any reservations about gig, CX, and working from home in that regard? And how do you address those concerns? And does ThinScale play any kind of role in this?
Yeah, absolutely. And they do have concerns. I mean, that's usually one of the hot topics is, it's kind of a multifaceted concern, right? It's how do you know who these people are? How do you know where they are? And how do you know that they're, how do you know what they're doing with our customer information, right? Those are really the three topics we cover. And so, for us, right out of the gate, we do a KYC level identity verification, which is the banking standard. So we use the same type of product that you would use if you opened a bank account online to verify who you are. So then second, we want to know where they are, right? I mean, is this person really are they really in the United States where they're supposed to be? Because these high compliance clients that we have, they must be in the United States for financial services, healthcare, things like that. So, we want to make sure they're sitting where they say they're sitting. So we use another product that takes a deep dive on their digital footprint. And this looks at, whether they're using a VPN, whether they're trying to mask their location in any way, a few other computer characteristics. And then it also looks at whether that digital footprint has ever been associated with fraud through through the LexisNexis database. So it actually helps us understand, has this computer or this digital footprint ever engaged in fraud in any way in the past that it's been associated with. And then the third component there is, how do we secure, the customer information while our gig workers are accessing that through our client systems? And for us, ThinScale is the most important thing we can possibly do for that. It really creates a super secure environment on their desktop, so they can't take anything, they can't go back and forth. They're completely locked down, and we know that when they're accessing those customer systems, they have no way to pull that information out. And so kind of through that three-pronged strategy, we've been incredibly successful in both convincing our clients that this can be a very secure environment and maintaining that security and ensuring that, we haven't had any instances of negative behavior. So when it comes to endpoint security, particularly in the context of work from home and BYOD, what are the areas that cyber criminals look to exploit? And how does ThinScale address those potential weak points?
I think there are three key points here to consider. The first one, and the most important one, is establishing the difference between network security and endpoint security. Number two, patch management and how to handle outdated applications and firewalls. And then number three, data loss prevention. So let me tackle the first one first. I think there are still some lingering misconceptions that work from home using VPN or network security solutions is enough to ensure end-to-end security. And it isn't. Yes, they are important, but these solutions don't really protect the device itself against threats like screen scrapers and keyloggers. These are malicious programs that live on the device itself and can steal critical customer data. So what we do is stop that kind of malware from running at the device level. So we don't work like an antivirus which responds to a threat. Our security is proactive. It just doesn't allow the malware to run in the first place. This is called application execution prevention. Secondly, there's the issue of patch management and how to deal with outdated applications, firewalls, and firmware, which are a significant concern as they can often lead to data breaches due to delayed vulnerability patching. There's an industry data that says that up to 80% of data breaches can be traced back to a failure to patch a security vulnerability quickly enough. So a big part of our solution is in the patch management aspect. The ability to push updates as soon as they become available across our customers' entire estate is something that we work really hard to achieve. And this is a critical feature that helps our customer comply with HIPAA and PCI requirements. And then lastly, it's DLP, data loss prevention. There's a whole host of features related to data loss prevention, like watermarking, temporary storage on inaccessible drives, data encryption, blocking USB storage devices, and so on, that you get with ThinScale. So it's just not about any one of these things in isolation. It's the combination, taking them all together to make our endpoint security solution really effective in those cases, which, by the way, can be applied both on remote environments and on site as well. So, Courtney, everyone in the outsourcing sector recognizes the importance of speed to green or seed to sale, but it's especially central to the success of gig work for both the end client and the contractor themselves. How does Omni ensure that it's a smooth and efficient process?
Yeah, great question. So, it's a few different things really. So we, as a starting point, we want to make sure that, right from the point of a gig worker expressing interest, we've got a clean, smooth process for them to work through. That includes all of the things we mentioned around, doing their identity verification, doing a background check, and then understanding how they sign up for certification and choose a class time and those types of things so that it's very clearly outlined and the expectations are set correctly for kind of how long that process is going to take. From there, it's really all about getting them into the systems. And so making sure that we have a very smooth tech setup process is critical for us because the tech day, we often call it, or Omni Day, is the day we get them logged into all of the different systems they need to have access to. And so tech day can be very smooth or tech day can be very complicated. And so making sure we have kind of the right systems, easy to access, and the right personnel from a help desk standpoint are very critical to that. From there, it's really a matter of ensuring that they have the right simulations, the right tools, and the right support during those certification times to be ready to start taking customer contacts as quickly as possible.
Very nice. And so the tech days, when you said it can be complex or smooth, is that down to the tech stack that sometimes the agent or might struggle with all the different systems they might have to use? Or is it something that is maybe part of training and it's something that just they need to go through more on the process side rather than the tech side?
A lot of times it's just the installs, right? So if something is complicated to install and the person hasn't done those types of things in the past, adding different systems to their computers and things, it can be very complicated. So for us, making sure that everything that they have to install and get up and running to start working is very simple and easy to use. And then ensuring that we have the support teams there ready to jump on and help someone that maybe is struggling a little bit. But that's where Thinscale is incredibly helpful. It's very, very simple for someone to install and get up and running on their computer very quickly.
That's a hear.
So what makes a BYOD deployment successful and where do companies go wrong?
In our experience, and having deployed BYOD for dozens of large customers, we see the single most important success factor is stakeholder buy-in. We keep explaining this, and every time there's a new engagement, a new deployment, we make sure this is addressed very, very early in the process. A successful BYOD deployment requires collaboration, and this comes across the board from multiple departments. So obviously IT, setting device specifications, establishing security parameters, network connectivity, all that kind of the tech stack. But then you go to HR, talent acquisition, as they engage with employees, communicating device requirements as early as when they write the job specifications and during the interviews to make sure whenever a new agent is onboarded, they have the right stack, they have the right technology to run the systems that they will need. Where we see deployments have, go sideways and have hiccups is where there's a misalignment between those key stakeholders. Some department will have a different set of KPIs or different set of incentives, a different time frame, a different set of concerns. There's like many different ways this can go sideways, but normally it's going back to the root cause of misalignment between the expectations and the drivers across different stakeholders in different departments. So having worked across several of those deployments, that's where we add a lot of value, is helping our customers identify potential pitfalls and assist them in implementing their BYOD strategies seamlessly. I think that's one of the areas that, because we've been there and we've done it multiple times, we have indeed actually engaged with IT teams, operations teams, HR teams, talent acquisition teams across different companies and around the world to ensure buy-in and good execution. Because in the end of the day, We want to remove friction. We want to, ensure smooth execution and a good experience across the board, because, our customers are happy if their agents are happy, if their end customers are happy. So we want to make sure this is done as best as possible. Courtney, I appreciate your time. Thank you for having this amazing conversation with me. I appreciate the time you guys have been with us as well. Omni Interactions, I think you guys are in the forefront of this industry, and I love this conversation. So thank you for the opportunity.
Likewise, thanks for having me, and thanks for being a great partner.
Thank you.